Welcome to SPK Speak Sports. On our station, we talk about baseball and sports news, from the most recent stories to the throwbacks. Listen now to Scott, Paul, and Kelly on SPK Speak Sports as they hit the ball out of the park.
You hit the ball out of the park, Speak Sports.
Hello, Mouseketeers. I'm Mouseketeer Scotty.
I'm Paul.
I'm Kelly.
And we're SPK Speak Sports. Well, we took last weekend off after Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Maybe you're thankful that we took last Sunday off. Maybe not, but we're thankful that you're with us today. Guys, most pressing thing right now, and I'm sorry I'm going to, on this because we didn't talk about the most right now, Stevie Nicks selling 80% of her publishing rights to some company for $100 million.
Wow.
And my take is, I think she should give at least $1 million to Nathan Apodaca from Idaho Falls for that cranapple juice commercial, because Dreams went to like number 22 on the Billboard charts in October after 23 years. So
I hope he got a
Stevie Nicks,
kickback. Yeah.
$100 million for just 80%, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was just watching something on PBS, one of their concerts from '97. And one thing with her outfits, you never could tell if she was 120 pounds or 195 pounds, and maybe that's why she wore those.
Exactly.
But I do know that she didn't get her wardrobe from Banana Republic. You know, I think it was probably more like flowing costumes are us.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's enough of that. So we want to talk about
Some baseball?
some baseball, because we hit it out of the park, as you probably heard on our jingle.
You want to talk about some free agents, or what do you want to talk about, Scott?
Well, let's talk about free agents, along with next week is the virtual winter meetings. And so no per diem for a lot of guys.
First time in history.
First time, hopefully the last time
Yeah.
in history.
Didn't they just have a virtual season? I mean, it feels like it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but so we're talking the winter meetings. Along with that, talk about free agents. So you have any guys on your free agent list going anywhere? Where they should go?
Well, let's see. Let's go with the catchers. So there's probably 3 catchers. There's that
Real Muto.
Molina, and James McCann.
McCann just went to the Mets.
Did he sign?
Yeah,
Okay, so he's off the board.
yeah.
So I don't know. You know, there's Yadier Molina, and he's 38, and you know he should stay with St. Louis. He what's the point of moving on when his whole career is
all
there?
about.
But there's not going to be much money there.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he ended his career, because not too many
Yeah.
guys play their whole career with one team.
Yeah, and he's.
But
I mean, who's going to sign a 38-year-old catcher and give him a multi-year contract? That isn't going to happen. So just stay with St. Louis.
well, he might get 2 from somebody. If he gets 2, he's going to go to that team.
I don't know. So that would be the catchers. Everybody else is, you know.
You got Bauer. Trevor Bauer is probably the top pitcher.
Pitcher,
He's
yeah.
now open. He has a lady agent, and she said that he's open to more than 1 year. I just saw where the Angels have freed up $7 million, which doesn't sound like much, but it's something.
Mm-hmm.
They released 5 relief pitchers and saved $7 million. So that tells you how much those guys were initially worth.
Yeah.
But
They pitch like it, too.
well, again, the thing with the Angels is I think they have the third or fourth highest salary of all the teams in Major League Baseball.
Right.
So they made some bad investments. Obviously,
Pujols.
should. I was listening to one of the guys on the MLB the other day about, you're out that $30 million. Either
Right.
send them home or keep them on the bench. But you can't say, well, we're paying $30 million. We got to play him.
Yeah.
Not if he's not going to produce.
Because that money's spent, and what he shouldn't be playing,
Exactly.
and it's about winning, right?
And then they spent $11 million on Harvey 2 seasons ago. So it's not that they aren't willing to spend money, but like they signed Jared Weaver back in 11 for 5 years for I forgot how many, how much money, and C.J. Wilson, and then Jared was
He was done
on the last.
he was on the other side of it.
But I think Marcell Ozuna he's only 30, and somebody could use him. The problem being, here's the problem, Mouseketeers, that they have not decided if there's going to be a DH in the National League from here on out. We just completed a virtual season with the DH, so it's now December 6th of 2020. What's the holdup? So Adam Duvall, who was mostly a DH with the Braves last year, there were only 6 guys who had more homers than Adam Duvall last year in the shortened season, but still. And all the Braves were going to pay him was like 4 to 7 only, $4 to $7 million. But they let him go because they don't know if there's going to be a DH in the NL. And that goes along with Marcell Ozuna. Mm-hmm. So you got 2 guys on the Braves that might go. Mitch Moreland with the Padres, they could sign him for $3 million. But again, if he isn't going to be able to DH, he's got to go to an American League team. And Kyle Schwarber, man. Yeah. Schwarber mania.
Well, he could be a third catcher for somebody. But Jock Peterson I think Jock Peterson, if he's on the right club, like Cleveland or something, he's going to get his at-bats.
But it's just ludicrous that we're this late and we're getting into the winter meetings and they haven't decided on a DH, yes or no, an ANL. That's why we need Theo Epstein as commissioner right now. Speaking of paying off people, pay off the commish.
For nearly 50 years, I have been so anti-DH, and I always thought that was for the other league. But, after watching it for a season, I'm finally a believer, late to the party. And there are some ball players whose careers are definitely extended. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple I would like to see extended with my team, the Dodgers. I think Justin Turner, he's getting up there. He'll be 36 next year, I think. Mm-hmm. And he's still a good defensive third baseman. He's not a great defensive third baseman anymore.
But
he's
good.
He is still very functional. But if they brought the DH in, who knows what that would open up if Turner could be a DH and then put somebody either young or, there's been talk about Nolan Arenado coming over from Colorado. That would be ridiculous.
They should go after Linder. They could put him there. Or they could move
Corey Seager.
Yeah. I think that would be.
But I think if you can extend a hitter's career for a couple, 3, maybe even 4 seasons, like a Big Papi. Yeah. If there was no DH, Big Papi wouldn't have played the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Wouldn't you rather see somebody like that as opposed to seeing pitchers hitting all the time? Other than Madison Bumgarner and Zach Greinke, there aren't a whole lot of hitting pitchers.
No.
We're not there to see pitchers hit. We're there to see pitchers pitch and hitters hit. Mm-hmm. So
there are some pitchers who have been such bad hitters that they do bring a little amusement to the game when they take the bat to the plate.
All that is in question is how bad they look when they strike out. Yeah. If they fall down. So, yeah.
Speaking of bad hitters, the Mike Tyson fight a week ago.
I like the way you did that.
Thank you. I just thought it just came out. Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson ended up as a draw. Mm-hmm. I don't want to belabor the fight thing.
Yeah.
We have people in our background here and our behind the scenes. People think Tyson won it, but my big beef was that Calvin Brodus Jr., Snoop Dogg, was a commentator, and he just got rave reviews. He was just and it's like have we as a society sunk that low that we got
Snoop
a druggie? I mean that man is not a good role model. He's a character, but you see him on the General commercials, on the Corona commercials, and now he's
But Mike said he got high before the fight, so he had to get it from Snoop, probably.
Did he got the holy herb from
it's a good thing that Customato wasn't there either, because he wouldn't have approved.
But I just thought, they're just swooning over how great he was as an analyst. And also, talking about swooning, Sarah Fuller, who was a great soccer player.
Right.
Recently, I think Vanderbilt won some championship. Soccer player with Vanderbilt. And the coach of the team has Sarah Fuller on as a kicker, and it was all on the news. The first woman, at least in the Power 5 or whatever, she was going to be this, that, and so first of all, Vanderbilt was 0-7 or 0-8 at the time. They're losing 21-0 at halftime, and they're kicking off. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, you're 0-7, 0-8. maybe your coach is fighting for his coaching life,
Right.
and you're down 21-0 at halftime, but you're now going to let a lady kick from the 35 to the opponent's 35.
Scott, it was a perfectly executed
That's
squib kick
what they
that
said.
traveled 30 yards.
That's
and
what they
And it
for
rolled.
that,
It was a great roll.
and for that, she was SEC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yeah.
Either the SEC is not the SEC of old, or there was some favoritism involved. What do you think?
Well, I think the best part of it, boy, she did move off the field quick.
She did.
Kicked that. She got out right off the field.
As soon as she kicks it, she's going off the field. I'm not going to get hit, you know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
she
I
knows
don't
she's
blame her. I
not
don't
because she
blame
did
her.
a squib kick and everybody's falling on it. So
Yeah.
nobody's going to go that far to hit her.
Yeah.
You know, but the whole thing, and then the coach the next day got fired.
Yeah.
Well, he had 7 losing seasons, so
Right.
they gave him more than enough time. But Vanderbilt is a baseball school. It's not
Yeah.
a football
Sure is.
school.
Yeah.
But I just thought, again, much ado about nothing. God bless her for the.
Right.
It was a nice token gestures, a nice gesture. I don't think it broke the ceiling, or as Linda Cohn said on ESPN. And Linda Cohn kind of broke the ceiling back, you know, a couple of 3 decades ago with, you know, female reporting and everything. So God bless her. But she's just raving about, didn't just break the glass ceiling, she shattered it.
Yeah. And she could do more than that now.
I don't think
We
so.
won't get into that.
Okay, next. Anybody?
Well, I'd like to do some housekeeping because a couple of
Okay.
weeks ago we left off. We gave an assignment to those of you who watch this podcast, and we asked who you thought might be the player of the decade from 2011 to 2020 in Major League Baseball. I think you both, you're Angels fans.
Yeah.
Are you not going to take Mike
Well,
Trout?
I take Mike Trout because he's
It's either,
produced.
for me, it's either Trout or David Fletcher.
Well, I'll say this about Trout. He's been in, what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
Pretty okay. He was a better player when he first came in, I think, than he is now. Because he did more things.
oh, yeah.
I mean, when he first came in, man, he was stealing 50 bases. He was hitting the right field. He was not striking out as much. And I'm not saying that he isn't a great player now, because he is a player of the decade, I think. But he did more things. When he
So
first came
you
out.
guys agree on Trout.
Yeah.
And Jim McConnell, who was with us a few weeks ago, talked about his book. He weighed in, and he says it has to be Trout. I'm going to offer what I believe to be a worthy competitor. You may want to throw an asterisk on this one. But we didn't say best everyday player of the decade. So I'm going to offer up Clayton Kershaw. The guy was 149-53 over the decade. That's a 1-loss record with a 737 winning percentage, 3 Cy Youngs, 2 runners-up Cy Young, 1 third-place finish, 9 out of 10 top 10 finishes. His worst season ERA was a 3.03. Cumulative ERA over the 10 years, 2.3. 2,029 strikeouts with 361 walks. Just unbelievable all the way down. And Scott, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but you can't compare an everyday player with a pitcher.
Yeah, apples and oranges.
But have pitchers
Well-
not won the MVP award?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't we do this? Best everyday player, position player, Mike Trout, and
Best
best pitcher, Clayton Kershaw. My only question is, what's Kershaw's batting average in those two?
Well, what's Trout's ERA? I want to put it in perspective, though, with Kershaw, because I like talking about Clayton Kershaw. There was only one other pitcher who pitched at least 1,000 innings this decade who had an ERA of under 3, and that was Jacob deGrom. And his was 2.61. Both players are 32 years old. Clayton's 3 months older. But Clayton has 105 more career wins. So there's just no comparison. That's how far above the competition he was for the entire decade.
Okay,
I submit.
I'm in. Clayton Kershaw for Mike Trout.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay. I got to mention also, this is December 6th, and I mentioned this a number of episodes ago, but who can remember a couple episodes ago? December 6th, 1960, Gene Autry was granted the ownership for the Angels. Stipulation from Walter O'Malley, they had to play at Wrigley Field, Los Angeles, seated 20,000 people, not the Coliseum. Not that that would have made a difference with the Angels in 61. It would have with the Yankees. When they came in to play 9 games, they probably would have packed in 60, 70,000 people, maybe more
Right.
at that time, and they got I think 19,000 because that was capacity. And then they would play at Chavez Ravine,
Right.
also known sometimes as Dodger Stadium. And Walter O'Malley charged Gene Autry half of the toilet paper costs.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was in 62. That was just in 62. Dodgers attendance, 2.7 million. Angels, 1.1 million. So either a lot of Angel fans used a lot more toilet paper, 3 times as much as that was, but O'Malley did a lot of stuff with Autry.
Oh.
He couldn't wait to move.
Yeah.
But the thing was also, and I mentioned this along with it, that December 6th of 41, the Browns were pretty much going to move to L.A. It was going to be finalized at the winter meetings 3 days later, December 9th of 41. Obviously, Pearl Harbor came about on December 7th, and that took care of that. But talk about a change of dynamics and everything.
Yeah.
This team in 41 moving to the West Coast, who would have come out from
St.
the
Louis.
National League, where the Dodgers had moved sooner,
Yeah, it would have changed everything.
Yeah.
The one thing about when the Angels got the franchise, that Gene Autry went there to get the radio rights.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, he wasn't even thinking about owning a team. So in December, he got the team, right? And they put a team on the field when? The following
February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
spring training.
So here was they had to put a whole franchise together with all the executives, all the scouts, all the baseball people. They put a team on the field that year, and they finished over 500, right?
In 61?
Yeah.
No, that was the next year. The
Oh,
second year.
62, okay.
But they won 70 games.
Yeah, that's
they
the
predicted
most.
they'd win 40, and the Mets won 40 the next year. But
yeah.
nobody's had that
That
good a
best
season
record
as a first-year expansion team.
that's what it was. So that's impressive.
Yeah.
You know.
When they were at Chavez Ravine, had O'Malley sprung for the drinking fountains yet? Because that was a big issue when Dodger
The
Stadium.
city made them
when it
put in
first,
those.
yeah, when
And they
the
were
first
so-
couple of seasons
Yeah.
there, though, there were no drinking fountains because he wanted to force people to buy concessions, to buy drinks.
And if you know that stadium, you come in down the left field line and the right field line, and you walk into your seats and you pass by all the concession stands and all the, where you get the Dodger dogs and everything. So in order to get, that's the way they made it. This guy's something else.
How much beer would Autry have to drink, too?
I don't know. Well, he could probably. Okay,
could put
so
away a
he could put it away a couple of. Anyway, so that was the thing, and O'Malley was supposed to put in a park. He was supposed to put in like a park. That was part of it. That's why my dad didn't like the Dodgers. He hated the Dodgers. But anyway, that's another story. Okay, that's why I became an Angel fan. Now think about if he would have been a Dodger fan, all the winning, I would always be in a better mood during the summer, right? Okay, so that was the deal. They forced O'Malley to, and so he put a park bench there, and he put some, basketball thing, and that he got away with it.
Autry never felt the pressure to win. You know why? Because he always had a champion.
That's right. And that's why they used to, for his song, when he said back in the saddle again, they changed it to back in the cellar again. So there was a lot of fun there. But,
Well, I'm going to ask our friend in Cooperstown about if he knows how he got the rights to the team and the broadcasting rights instead of just the broadcasting rights, because that was very...
And
Very
wouldn't you
interesting.
think that they would already kind of have an owner or somebody that was going
It
to
just
buy it?
happened like that.
That
As
could-
opposed to now, we're sitting here on December 6th of 2020. They still haven't decided if they want a DH in the
yeah.
National League. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we need leadership.
And we need more characters, too. I got 3 real quick. Mitch Williams, Wild Thing, the original Wild Thing of the Phillies. He said, I always was told that if you're not good looking, you better be funny. And then I got a quick story from Lee Thomas, who was the GM at the time, original Angel.
Mm-hmm.
He was the GM of the Phillies, and he and his wife were at that game that Joe Carter hit the game-winning, the World Series winning home run.
Off of Mitch.
And they brought in Mitch Williams, and Lee Thomas knows that Mitch Williams' arm is hanging. And he tells his wife, let's go. Before all this, he goes, what? She goes, this isn't going to turn out pretty. So I guess they'd left the park when that happened.
I wish
so.
he would have told Fergosi something.
Yeah. Well,
buddy.
he also said you got to go with who kind of got you there, and he was one of them.
Yeah.
Two more I got. Ray Quinones, not exactly a household name, played in the mid to late 90s with Mariners, maybe the Red Sox, I don't remember. In spring training, he was late. He said he had visa problems. He's from Puerto Rico. So visa problems from Puerto Rico. So he goes into one of the offices one day and with Dick Williams, he was the Red Sox, I guess, and Chuck Anderson, who is the president. And he says, Ray Quinones says, these two got the president and the GM, he says, I'm a pretty good shortstop, aren't I? And the president says, yeah, you're a great shortstop. He said, I could be one of the best, couldn't I? And the GM says, yeah, you could be one of the best. He says, I don't need to play every day. You need to play some of these other guys at short so they can get better. And Ted Williams said that one day he was going to win a batting championship. And after 4 years, 29 home runs and 159 RBIs and a 243 batting average, done. So Ted didn't quite make it on that one. And the last one I got, Mickey Rivers.
Make the quick.
He said of George Steinbrenner, himself and Billy Martin were two of a kind. His goal every year was to hit 300, drive in 100, and stay injury prone. He said, we'll do all right if we can just capitalize on our mistakes. He said of somebody, he's so ugly when you walk by him, your pants wrinkle. He made foul balls go fair. He made fly balls go foul. And then he said, what was the name of the dog on Rin Tin Tin?
Oh, my God.
Quick. You guys have any characters?
So, yeah, mine would be Al Raboski, the Mad Hungarian.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw him pitch, and there was one incident where he is at Anaheim, and he wanted a ball from the umpire. You know, the ball was not, it was too slick or he couldn't grip, so he asked for one. He throws the ball in. The ump throws the ball back to him. He warms up and he says, nah, this one's not good either. And then the umpire throws back another one, and it wasn't, to his liking. So he on the mound, he scraped the ball and then he rolled it in. And so then the umpire comes out there and says, okay, this is what I got, pick one, So that was kind of cool. But he really psyched himself up,
Well, that was, a lot of it was an act.
Yeah, but
too.
it was
it worked.
Yeah, so that would be probably the guy that I remember. And, well, let's see. There's another guy I'll talk about a little later. Jim Pearsall was another one that I saw.
We can do that in another show.
So,
you have anybody in mind?
I don't have any cute stories, but Mickey Hatcher would be right in there with that. If you're not good looking, you better be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mickey Hatcher was quite a character. He was a clown, and he had Jay Johnstone on the same team. Remember a couple weeks ago you were talking about how you can have, or when we had Jim on the show, you could have a Bobo Newsom on the team, you could have Babe Ruth on the team, but you couldn't have both of those guys on the team.
It'd be a little bit of conflict.
Yeah. So it was that kind of happened with that dynamic with Hatcher and Johnstone. I think they kept them loose, and I think those guys did win a world championship. So,
also wanted to mention quickly two things about time of games. I'm sorry to beat this into the ground, but in 46, the average length of a game was 2 hours in 46. Now it's 3:07. And a lot of that is because of the fact that you're walking or striking out.
Commercials.
Walking, striking out, or home run. Home run's exciting. Walking, striking out, not so much.
and commercials.
In the seventh game of the 60 World Series, nobody struck out in that game. You're talking about the pivotal game of the World Series. Nobody struck out. I don't know how long the game was, but the other fascinating thing to me was the Yankees had men on first and third with one out in the top of the ninth inning, and left-handed batter hits a one-hop smash to Rocky Nelson at first base. Mantle's on first. He gets it. He's right at first, holding Mantle on. He tags first. Mantle's first reaction is to go to second. He realizes Rocky's cut the ball, and instead of still going, he could have been caught in a rundown as the guy from third is scoring the tying run. But his reflexes were to get back to first. And he does a swim move, barely safe, tying run scores. If he's out, Bill Mazeroski doesn't come up in the bottom of the ninth, hit the home run that may have gotten him into the Hall of Fame.
That's another thing that's changed history.
Yeah. Movie stars, movies, favorite movies, movie characters.
There's a baseball movie that I have seen, and I probably should be ashamed to say this, about 50 times. And it's Damn Yankees.
Oh, geez.
I know, you hate
Musical.
it. I love it. I grew up on musicals. I probably was 4 years old the first time I saw that. It was on New Year's Eve. My parents let me stay up till midnight, and I was fascinated with that
You're
thing.
gonna have hard.
That's right.
Is that a musical?
It's a musical.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Tab Hunter, and he couldn't
Who
sing,
sings
and he
when-
couldn't play ball, but it worked. Who sings what?
I mean, who sings in baseball? There's crying, but there's no singing.
As far as characters in movies, I think Crash Davis has got to be one of the top ones. Do you guys know who Ebby Calvin LaLouche was in a movie?
No.
Nickname was Nuke in the
Oh,
movie.
I can't remember.
Bull Durham.
Bull Durham,
Tim
okay.
Robbins.
Okay.
I'd
right,
see that
right.
movie to me.
And
Is
Horrible.
that was a favorite movie of yours?
Rick Vaughn,
Terrible.
Roy Hobbs.
Was that a favorite movie of yours?
No, I didn't like. No, it wasn't. But I liked Rick Vaughn is another one. Anytime Major League's on, even if it's halfway through, I'll usually watch
Right.
that. And Roy Hobbs has got to be probably number one or two. But in Bull Durham, interesting line about that because we were just talking about strikeouts. There's a line in there. I don't know who delivers it. It might be Costner. Strikeouts are boring. Besides, they're fascist. Throw some ground balls. It's more democratic. And it would shorten the games. Let's get the bat on the ball.
Getting to that length of games thing, going back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
I saw a neat stat this week. And yeah, you especially, rag on baseball for having such long games. What was it, 3 hours and 7 minutes, you said?
3:07 now. Yeah.
All right, the average NFL game, 3 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah.
You take the action in a baseball game, about 18 minutes of action. You take the action in an NFL game, about 12 minutes of action.
Yeah.
Baseball rocks.
So speaking of Notre Dame, the Ara Parsegian, who was the coach, used to tell the players, he would say, "Give me 11 minutes," because in a college game, it was 11 minutes, and he would tell those guys, "I need, give your all. You're here for, give me 11 minutes." And he was a great coach, and
That's a great philosophical thing. You don't have to be on the field for 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just give me 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's what he would say, and it worked.
But those were
on
pro
being-
teams, though.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being 10-0 too.
Thank
Boy,
you.
they just
It's-
barely beat that 1-9 Syracuse, didn't they?
Yeah, they had trouble in the very beginning. I thought, oh, here we go.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to be watching that one. Clemson and Notre Dame.
It's going to be Clemson, Notre Dame. If Notre Dame loses by a lot, they might not get in. But if they keep it close, even if they lose, they could get in. And then Alabama just looks like they're really good. They're fast and they look good. And then Ohio State, I just think you got to play more games than 5 games, 6 games.
If you're not from Alabama, aren't you a little bored? Can they have, like, LSU's got a down year.
Yeah.
Every year it's Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State.
It's a
They
factory.
should take it on the road. I think it should be Alabama this year, and Saban should just take the boys up to Tulsa one year. And then
Or put them in the NFL for a season. See how that goes.
Well, you don't see Alabama leaving the.
everybody's doing remote learning anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a heck of a
Thanks. We'll
season.
see what happens. It wasn't a very good baseball season, but
You mentioned about Parsegian, legendary coach for the UCLA Bruin basketball team, John Wooden, once said, if you can't be on time, at least be early.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're out of here.
Yeah.
We do want to mention, next week we'll mention it because it can be anytime between now and next summer, the MLB Draft League that's coming up next summer. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, for
Kelly,
Paul?
Scott, we thank you for watching today.
adios.
Right on.
You hit the ball out of the park. Speak Sports.